morning and welcome to another weekly vlog. We are going to be doing a fun, cozy fantasy reading vlog. I have 5 different books here that I am super excited to read, including Legends and Lattes, The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, and The House in the Cerulean Sea, which are all heavy hitters in the community. I've heard a lot about these being wonderful, cozy fantasy books. And then I also have The House Witch and The Bookshop and the Barbarian as some additional backup books to read, along with, I believe, Sword Heart, which I have on the Kindle version. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through all of this. We will see. Currently, I'm thinking of starting with Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. This is about a orc woman who decides to retire from adventuring and open up her own cafe or something like that. It's us just going along for the ride, her, I believe, finding a wonderful love interest and dealing with the struggles of trying to be a small business owner. And I'm super excited about it. Cannot wait to get into it. So I think this would be a great one to start off with, especially because I feel like this is definitely one of the books that people recommend when they always say, if you're looking for a cozy fantasy, this one. Also, in terms of general updates, this morning, I ended up spending a good chunk of time setting up my plant island here in the library. I am watching over the humidity levels to try and make sure I don't overdo it. But it's super, 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 super dry. So I have a humidifier along with some of my plants there so that I can enjoy them while I'm in here and I can have a little bit of a library jungle. Like, who doesn't want that? Because I know I do. I do need to figure out more house plants that are okay with low light and dry environments so that I can put them on my bookshelves, but I do want to have an area that I can have things like my calatheas and Hoyas and things like that. That is something that I did this morning, and I also finished editing last week's vlog. So I feel like off to a good start already, and now I'm going to jump into the first book of the vlog. Like, I'm gonna get into this, but future me will give you an update after some pretty B-roll. Another. Coffee time, coffee time, coffee time. Let's get to it. Okay, hi, hello. Today is the next day. I have, as you can see, started reading Legends and Lattes. I am really enjoying it so far. Have been annotating, taking notes, writing things down. It's making me feel so warm and fuzzy. So I'm going to continue this today, but I thought I would share some new developments and then also do my tarot pull for the week. First off, I decided to turn my general journal into a kind of commonplace diary. I did set up a commonplace book for reading notes, as I mentioned a little bit more on the educational side of me kind of copying down quotes and verifying facts and, you know, relating certain things. There is some non-book related stuff. I've got like a song in here, and then I have just a section of random quote, but mostly what I put in here is going to be book notes. So this one doesn't get updated that often because of the value that I want. I want to just make sure I only put stuff in here that is very useful that I want to revisit, but I did want to have a secondary place that I can just throw thoughts and ideas and rambles and whatever, memory keeping. I've had this journal for a while. I was using it earlier. There is a lot of personal stuff, obviously, because it's a diary, but you know, like I was using it and I have been struggling with that. Like I just haven't been enjoying it. So I thought that I would come back, try again, and have fun playing around with like the layouts that I do, and then also use this whole indexing system that I have going on in my regular planner, along with this commonplace diary and my traditional commonplace journal. I do like the idea of having this follow through, but I imagine at some point I will change this system because I'm probably going to need different things the more I use it. Another thing that I started doing is I got these field books, and I have one that I'm using for content consumption tracking. So just like anytime I watch a video or read a book or whatever, I kind of just like write it down to get an idea of what I'm spending all of my time on. And then I also wanted to get one of these so that I can do something similar, but with my plant care, so that I can easily track all of the plant care that I'm doing for my plants. I do have things existing that I want to transfer in here. And so this is kind of some of the stuff that I've been doing, which I've really been enjoying. But now it is time for me to do a tarot pull. So every week, except last week, but most weeks, I try and do a weekly tarot spread that I write in my planner. And I really enjoy this process, even though I'm not always doing it. So I figured I'd take you along for the ride. Now, I specifically use the cards that pop out as long as they pop out faced outward. Otherwise, I shuffle them back in the deck, and then sometimes if a bunch comes out, I'll just pick one. Kind of just depends on how I feel. Now, I should be doing this earlier in the week. It's already Tuesday, but I haven't been the best at keeping up with it. So this is what we're working with. Okay, so at this point, I am filling out my planner with the information about each card that I pulled for that week so that I can reference it throughout the week. This is just based off of the Biddy Tarot information that I have gathered from a book that I have and online, which I find very useful since I haven't memorized all of this stuff yet. Then I decided that after kind of updating my planner in general, that I would also include this in my commonplace diary, which is not a normal thing that I typically do, and which admittedly I would like to do more in the future because it allowed me to also include my personal thoughts on each card. In addition to just like gathering what I thought was relevant to me, I could say why I thought that was relevant and kind of express a little bit more my feelings about the card pull, which I think is very, very beneficial. But the problem is it's very time consuming to put it both in my planner and in the commonplace book. So I guess in the future, I'm going to have to figure out which I think is more useful and make some adjustments. So yeah. Good morning. Okay, so it is Wednesday and I have updates for you. First off, yesterday I finished Legends and Lattes, 5 stars. Absolutely loved this. We're going to talk a little bit more about it in a second. Then this morning I finished up The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. Hi, hello, future me here. Before we continue, I realize I didn't tell you what this is about. So before I tell you how I feel about it, let's just talk a little bit about what this is about. And then we'll get back to everything, don't worry. So, a world where witches are kind of on the hush-hush. People are aware of them, sort of, but not entirely. And so, because of this, they're not really allowed to be in contact with other witches because it's just too risky that they'll get found out. But there are some societies that meet up every couple of months just to check in, but anything more than that is disastrous. So when our main character gets a request to work as a nanny slash witch instructor for 3 young witches all in one house, that's pretty surprising. Obviously, having 2 witches together is a problem, and yet they're asking for big trouble with 4. Something pulls her to do it. And so we are following along with her as she figures out why she's drawn to this and dealing with what being the tutor of 3 witches entails. There are a lot of characters, there's a lot going on, and I will let past me tell you what I felt about it. This one I also really loved. But surprisingly, this one's only a 4-star for me. High 4-star. This book had so much going for it, but I had an interesting experience. So I see these books compared a lot, and a lot of people go like, oh, this is the better book. And they're not wrong. But they're also not right. So these are 2 very different books. This book is very plot light, very straightforward, very simple. Not much is going on. We just have a character who wants a new life and who is in the process of trying to build a successful small coffee shop business. And it's that experience, the people she meets along the way, the struggles, the successes, it's that whole thing, along with a very small kind of romance thing going on. It's cute, it's wholesome, it is simple as all heck. If you're looking for something complex, this ain't it. It's just vibes. So wholesome. I really loved it. Very simple, to the point, not a lot going on. This one, on the other hand, wholesome, has a lot going on. A very strong plot, a lot of meaningful characters, a lot more commentary, a lot more representation. Our main character, I believe, is Indian. The kids, or at least I don't know if it's all of the kids or some of the kids that she is watching over are, I think, mixed black and or completely black. It has more representation. It has a little bit of commentary on that about how, you know, difficult it can be, or the experience of being a black witch in this society and things like that. There is a stronger romance story element to this book. There are some steamy scenes in here. There is several different little plot lines that we're going through. The stakes are higher. There's a lot, and I absolutely loved it. My note is go into them knowing they are different. This is a much simpler story. This one, on the other hand, a couple of plot threads, a higher stakes. There's more going on. I don't know. I loved them both. That is the big thing. I really loved them both. Now, I don't really imagine any of these other stories to have as simple of a plot as Legends and Lattes, so I'm going in all of these expecting them to be a little bit more on the very secret society of a regular witch's side of things, where there's more happening. I'm kind of thinking of going with the House Witch next because I do have the audiobook for this, and I'm kind of thinking that I'm just going to focus on the audiobook instead of doing a bunch of annotating. And then I think these 2 I'm going to do heavy annotating because this is a book club book and this one is 100% physical read because I don't have the audiobook for it. There isn't one. So that is the current plan. I'll give you some updates once I start making progress on these books. Let's do this! Okay, hi, quick update. So I'm actually about to go to Home Depot and Menards to kind of look at some prices for things. I've got a bunch of home improvement projects that I want to do. Trying to figure out how much everything is going to cost. Probably not going to buy much or anything today, maybe a couple of small things, but I want to save all of the big ticket items to do all at once, you know, do the financing thing. I'm going to take you along for the ride. Let's get to it. Okay, Hi, hello, back from Home Depot, and I have a couple of updates. First off, I did start The House Witch by Delamoc. Don't know if I'm saying that right at all, but I'm loving it so far. We have a fantasy setting with a castle, and we have the king's cook who's super grumpy and who's magical. Really excited to see where this goes. I know this is a series. If I end up enjoying this, I will jump onto the next one pretty soon because it seems like a lot of fun and I'm interested in seeing where it goes. As for Home Depot, prices, although like not that things are cheap, were just not as bad as I was expecting them to be. I still need to figure out how much it's going to cost to get someone to change the door and windows in the like mudroom that we have because it is not insulated like at all right now, and so I'm hoping that it's not crazy expensive because the door itself and the windows itself aren't too bad, but that's not something that I can do myself, so I need somebody to come and do it. That is the big unknown and the possible kicker. I did get a couple more houseplants while I was there, so I ended up getting a Calathea burley marks and the zebra Calathea lancifolia. And so we have a couple more plant babies in here. I'm probably gonna spritz them and add them to the plant island, and I love it. So those are my updates. I'm gonna continue with The House Witch, and I'm gonna let you know when I'm further along. Hello, good morning. It is a whole nother new day. I feel like this week has been going by so fast, and in surprising news, long before I was ready, I finished The House Witch by Delamoc, and I loved it. 5-star. I'm so excited to continue the series. Very cozy, very fun. I loved the characters. I loved the grumpy old witch chef. Little sparkles of romance between different characters. I loved the cat. I just loved everything. It was very sweet, very charming. I enjoyed it. Not too complex, even though a lot was going on. It was handled very well. We got a lot of different perspectives. It kind of felt like it would go from one perspective to another, depending on what was going on and what was convenient in that moment, which could easily be confusing, but I felt that I had no issue keeping up with who was talking or whose perspective we were from. Yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this. I'm like eager to buy the next book now and continue the series. Like I'm just gonna get all of them because I loved it. So, yeah, we might have another cozy fantasy vlog in the near future for me to finish up some of these series. Sitting there all smug and shit. I was reading. Now I'm not. It's all your fault. Why you do this to me? She stole it. She stole it. Big yawns. Are you relinquishing the seat? No? Just stretch time. Hello, besties. Good morning. Okay, so I'm actually here to admit failure. So I have a bunch more footage from the week because I started the next 2 books, The Bookshop and The Barbarian by Morgan Stang, which was my physical read. I got about halfway through this, didn't finish it. And then during the Besties live sprint or productivity sprint, I ended up starting The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. Loving it, didn't get very far. So this one is a Bestie Book Club pick, so I'm gonna have a spoiler vlog for this next month for them. So like they're still gonna get content for this, but I don't know when you guys will see the non-spoiler version. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I ended up failing these too. I was so determined to finish these, and then just like life got in the way. So that is kind of a bummer. I did end up playing a cozy fantasy board game with my brothers on Saturday, basically the day before the besties productivity sprints, and this was actually quite a blast. It's called Bargain Quest, and it's basically where you guys are all shop owners who are trying to supply adventurers with gear so that you can make money and so that they can kill monsters. And it was very easy to pick up on, and it was just a lot of fun to play. So definitely gonna play this again, and I figured I would share it so I can utilize the sweet B-roll that I ended up taking of me setting everything up and a little bit of us playing. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that. Otherwise, that's kind of it for this vlog. I do want to keep the vlogs or the weekly vlogs a little bit shorter. I am kind of thinking of breaking the weekly vlogs into maybe 2 smaller vlogs instead of a bigger vlog. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure things out. But right now I need to edit this and start the next vlog because as I mentioned, Cozy Mysteries coming up next. So get hyped. Get ready. We've got the Body and Soul Food public POC book club discussion happening on the 23rd. So this Sunday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you are interested in joining me, please do. I think it's going to be a fun time, and I will be reading this basically like the day before the live show. So it's fresh in my mind, and hopefully I will have some fun notations and things that we can talk about. So if you haven't already, pick it up and let's hang out. Otherwise, Kiwi says hi. Leave a cat emoji if you made it this far, any cat emoji, and I will catch you in the next video. Until next time, bye! I have to start the next vlog. She's so like, don't quit, this is your job now.